Hi, I'm Peter Wallman, and I'm very proud of these discs. And what most people don't know is these evolved out of pieces of paper, working with pieces of paper on people's passions. And these evolved out of something else again, and it was a whiteboard with stickers on it. There's a story to this, that I was working on a project with a gentleman, a doctor who was doing a Gestalt therapy course. And he said, Peter, before we work on this project, can we work on you? Great vote of confidence in me. I don't know if any of you have been in that place where it's very, very hard to make any decision at all because your life is in transition. And as one friend explains to me, you start like this, that's your life, and then you go, before you transition to something else, it's like moving a card, playing card, and then you get over and you see the new. But there's a period in the transition you can't see anything, and it's very hard to make any decisions. That's the place I was in. That's why Howard was suggesting that he can work with me. So what he did was to ask me what was most important for me. And being good consultants, we wrote them up on sticky notes and on a big whiteboard, not a tiny one like this, we put all these elements that were important. Now, I'd hoped that by understanding all the things that were important for me, I could just feel confident to go ahead on this project. It wasn't to be, but it was the genesis of something else entirely. What happened was that I lived in a beautiful apartment overlooking the western reaches of Sydney Harbour. And if any of you know that, it's a beautiful view, lovely boat, beautiful place. But it can be windy. So I had the whiteboard up with all of these things on it. I moved them around. It didn't make any sense. I was getting very frustrated. How could you make sense of all these disparate things that were important? And what happened is that the wind blew a couple of them down, blew them to the floor. And out of frustration or angst, I stamped on one. And I had a deep physical experience. I'd been doing a lot of yoga and I had a deep experience. And then if only one had fallen down, it would have stopped there. I would have just thought, well, this is what happens when you feel angry and frustrated. But instead, there was another, and I stood on the other one. Again, something that was important for me. And I had a totally different experience. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. How come I can stand on a piece of paper or a post-it note and have an embodied experience? So that was the genesis of passion mapping. And I didn't know what was happening. And it was before the time of sensory intelligence and even before emotional intelligence became a thing. And so I played with this. I played with it for myself. I brought all the elements together in a pattern, and suddenly I felt this sense of wholeness. It's quite remarkable. So I thought, oh, look, I'll try to learn more, and I offered this experience to quite a few people, friends who either they'd been diagnosed with some problematic disease, or their relationship had gone, or they'd had a financial problem, something that was really engaging them that had to be fixed. And what I found was that gradually I got better at facilitating this process, whatever it was, and the people I worked with always seemed to have a real sense of themselves and a real sense of confidence about making clear decisions. Now, along the way, someone said to me, Peter, I think what you're doing is passion mapping. You're mapping my passion. And I thought, wow, that's a nice name. I'll take that. So passion mapping was born, but also with it, a deep exploration into what passion was. So obviously, if I'm doing passion mapping, I want to know something about what passion is, other than something that gives you an experience in your body. So that was the beginning. I tried different types of techniques and came up with a sort of congruent set of techniques that enable people to feel whole, enable them to feel confident, enable them to feel grounded and light. So just this beautiful place in themselves that they could make decisions from. And then a very dear friend of mine said, Peter, can you teach me this? And this other friend of mine, can you teach us to do what you're doing? And I said, oh, sure. And that started a journey as well.